Ben is here to talk about the generation, nurturing, and selling, and the key methods to build a pipeline of business to business customers. Ben has worked in KINYU, which is a major business, since 2016 and has grown year over year by 100% in the last 3 years, with the last 12 months seeing a 600% increase in customer acquisition, which are absolutely incredible statistics. I have known Ben for several years, and he's always continued with his hard work and ethic, which is one of the reasons that he's in this position that he's in today, being the CEO of such a successful business. So I believe that we can all learn a lot from Ben about how to generate, nurture, and sell. And I'd like to give the floor to Benjamin King. Thank you very much for speaking on Angle's webinar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jake. Yeah, so today I thought of it, call it generate, nurture, sell. I'll go through briefly an introduction of KINYU and really sort of like where we've come in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, where I just thought about this, especially in the last 6 months, about this title in sort of generating leads, nurturing them, particularly in our environment, and then making sales. So I mean, today I'll focus more on the generating and nurturing the leads as opposed to them bring them across the line, because I think that's also very particular depending on different businesses. So so I'll focus on the first two. So yeah, let's get cracking. So just a brief overview of KINYU. We moved to China in 2016. Its mission is to empower the China operations of foreign businesses with experience, industry networks, and on-the-ground support. Personally, I moved to China in 2016. I set up a trading company, a supply chain finance company with a business partner, where the name KINYU comes from. However, in 2020, I decided to go alone and set up my own separate company called KINYU SCM, which essentially supports businesses on the ground. So in 2020, we set up in Hong Kong throughout COVID, obviously China being having a particular position in COVID. And then as time grew on, we set up a company in Guangzhou, a branch in Tianjin. And as COVID entered and China opened up, more businesses came back in 2023. And in 2024, this year, we're opening a Shanghai branch office to support our new leads and hiring. So yeah, we've directly managed over $140 million of trade. We manage that trade. We don't trade it ourselves, but our team have supported our clients to purchase this in the last 5 years. Through our supply chain finance partners, we facilitated the trade of over $1 billion within, I should say, in the last 10 years. We've collaborated with lots of different companies on the ground here in China, from SMEs to blue chip organizations to state-owned organizations as well. So we're really key trying to support people on the ground here. A bit of background about myself. I graduated from Exeter University in the UK in classics, and then I took a master's in global marketing at York University. And the research I did as part of my dissertation was all in supply chain related, and to do with building relationships with Chinese suppliers. And straight after that, almost straight after, I moved to China, as I mentioned, to continue supporting these companies in China. Throughout my time here, I've learned to speak Mandarin. I've lived in Beijing, I've lived in Shanghai, Changsha, and we're now based in Guangzhou. I'm also a committee member on the British Chamber of Commerce in Guangdong, and supporting British businesses on the ground, as well as my own clients. I've been a China country manager for a range of different companies before setting up the China desk. And that was the reason why I set it up, was because more people, more companies needed support on the ground. And so I wanted to support them all. And so what we did was we set up the China desk, which is KINYU's flagship policy, to hire personnel on the ground. So our major focus is on local business relationships and getting the most out of people in China. So yeah, I mentioned the China desk just briefly. It is really key three parts. You get your own team member, full-time or part-time, where we either full-time we hire bespoke for certain companies, and part-time is our own team members where you use 5 or 10 hours a week of their time. You get our overall management where we provide strategic sort of insight and direction, and a collection of different resources on the ground to support supply chains and support your China operations. Now, this is a marketing webinar, so you might want to know why am I talking about this, because I think it's, to be honest, to give the best insight that from my point of view into today is to highlight a bit more about our business and why we've kind of gone where we have with our marketing strategy, and also why or how it's been successful for us in the last couple of years. So the China desk service, we really started it in 2021 with a key client. 2022, particularly when China was still people couldn't travel here, so companies needed support on the ground. I got some client referrals, and we gained a couple of good clients in terms of based on referrals of being on the ground. However, our marketing strategy was not really that well defined. It wasn't defined at all, to be honest. And then come 2023, when China opened up, we didn't have anything, we didn't have anything really structured or anything in place. And throughout the whole of 2023, we only gained one customer. It was a difficult year. And I mean, we could always blame, the market at the time. Everyone had a tough year in 2023. Not many people were coming back to China, or they're not ready to do business with China. However, to be honest, at the start of 2023, we had no pipeline. We had no strategy in place. So I started to build one, and I started to find the right partners. And so throughout the year, I started to build and nurture this pipeline. And so at the beginning of 2024, I had a full pipeline and continually growing. So I was able to make a sort of clearer, sort of accurate sales forecast for the rest of this year. And we've already beaten it in one sense. It's like we've signed 10 new clients, and our clients, we're B2B. We hire people on the ground. They spend tens to hundreds of, some hundreds of thousands each year on our China desk. So it's a big ticket sales, and so we've grown a lot in this year. And so why I explained what our business is and my background is because I haven't been doing marketing. I'm not a marketing professional. I did a global marketing as my master's degree. However, I've been focusing on China. I've been focusing on building supply chains and helping clients do that. But business owners must become marketing masters if you want to succeed. And so this is what I realized in 2022. I had all the skills. I could help people on the ground, but I couldn't find those people. So I felt like I had to really focus on developing this marketing strategy myself. So at the beginning of January 2024, we had an active pipeline with different stages, with different types of companies, and we were able to really sort of build this. And so this was at zero at the start of 2023. So I'm just going to jump into how we generated leads and also how we nurture them to get to this point. So lead generation. This is this is our strategy at the moment. This is what we do at the moment, and to develop our clients. So we mainly do cold outreach via email marketing, and we also do what I call lukewarm outreach on LinkedIn. So which I'll explain a bit more in a bit later. So email marketing. I think the three key factors for success in email marketing is 1, the right targets, 2, the right hook, and 3, the right numbers. Now, email marketing is cold outreach. You're sending, but it's cold outreach to many people at the same time. You're sending many cold emails to people that you've never met before, and they may never have heard of your business. So how do we make a success of it? So let's go through these 3 factors. So the right target. And so what I've done is I've just focused on what KINYU's right target is. Your right target might be completely different. So, but the key thing is that you've got to work out what is your right target. So I'll go through a bit about what we were looking for. So the industry, so key is like the industries. Our clients, what industries are they in? Well, we want to. We're based in China, and our clients want to hire people in China. So we need to find companies who manufacture in China. Therefore, what products are manufactured in China? You say, well, of course, lots of different product industries are manufactured in China. So I've got a basic list here. Some of these are, our clients are in these industries like furniture, electronics, construction materials, plastics, accessories, food products, automotive, pharmaceutical tools. There's the list is much longer than this, but these are some key industries that we know people come to China to get these products made. So therefore, they must need some sort of support on the ground. So we're targeting by industry, geography, and target markets. English-speaking markets are a priority. I am from the UK. I'm British. All of our content and everything is in English, so it makes sense for us to focus on these markets. Countries with a strong sort of sense of the rule of law. We hire people on behalf of our clients, so we need to make sure that they respect contract law and that they're easy to engage with. Countries which have a large trading relationship with China, with sort of significant procurement and importing from China. So like the UK, Spain, France, Germany, Northern Europe, Scandinavia, Australia, US, Canada, Brazil. These are like some of the markets that we target with our emails. And company size. So really, I'll come on to company size a bit later as well. But for us, we want to make sure that they at least hire people in their home country, because then they would have experience hiring. So there's no point in them hiring someone in China if they've never hired someone at home. It's quite risky. They've also got consistent long-term relationships with their suppliers. So they're already working with China. They already know the problems in China. And they're already potentially looking for a solution like us. So company size and type of company, it also goes into the mix here. So this is the target. The right hook or the right script. This is number 2. So making the right scripts. The script for email marketing has to seem as natural and organic as possible. Avoiding, when you're putting on your email, avoiding backlinks, pictures. Many companies have various sort of bouncing. You've got to make sure it doesn't meet the firewall, and try and make it as simple as possible. The script in email marketing would tend to be sort of, it's not just one email. You would have 5 or 6 emails spread over time, some in short succession and some a bit longer, to really, over time, to try and pique the interest of your prospect, and and get them to engage. And also, it might not just be one script for just for your entire market. You might have different angles. Hey, Jake. Different angles and different campaigns depending on your target market. So, for example, for us, we did a furniture campaign. We have a furniture client, so we could put an angle into the script on furniture. The same with smart home. We also did a separate campaign for e-commerce aggregators. relatively new industry. They've been up and down in the last few years, but many of them don't have their own presence on the ground in China. So for us, it's a good campaign, good group of companies that we can target. So we would write the script for that campaign and then target that list of companies. And Canton Fair as well. So, Canton Fair is China's largest trade show. It might be the world's largest trade show. Many buyers for us, many people in our target list will go to Canton Fair. Our current clients also go. So we had a script which was specific just for the Canton Fair, sort of tipping in about the fact, are they going to the Canton Fair? So different scripts and different campaigns can have different angles, all to make the cold recipient just reach out and latch on to something. So I've actually put a script, for example. So day one, quite a larger sort of a larger one, sort of giving an overview with a very simple sort of layout on day one. We then send 2 days later a very short sort of follow-up. But then on day 10, so this is a week later, well, 8 days later actually, we would then focus on maybe bring up a key problem that some companies might have, and then and also with a bit longer text to see whether or not they'd hooked for this. And day 13, another sort of like short follow-up with a solution of that we can save certain costs, and seeing how much that our clients could save. And then day 24 would be, so this is another sort of like 8 or 9 days later, we just had another peak follow-up to see whether or not it's the right time, or they're interested in engaging. So that was about the script. In terms of number 3 is about the right numbers. Now, it's cold outreach, so you've got to consider that not everyone's going to pick up on an email straight away. So it's purely an email marketing is purely a numbers game. And so this example, so far this year, up this doesn't include May actually, up until the end of April, we sent out 86,000 emails, and in April we sent out 35,000 emails. So and if you can look at some of the data, the different campaigns that we did in different markets, and there's the different emails that we'd send depending on different ones, and then the number of the various replies that we might get, and obviously it goes down. So 35,000 emails only got 219 replies, but 31 of them were positive replies, and actually out of those 31, 11 booked in for us. So we had 11 leads, qualified leads. We also have a qualification process to identify what they're looking for and whether or not they're going to hire, at least short, part-time or full-time. So this and that came from 35,000 emails. So it is to get those results, it's quantity is really important. And another example in January here, so nearly 20,000 emails sent across different campaigns. You'll see here we did a KINYU visa-free, which was China have got a new visa-free policy, so we decided to this might pique some people's interest, especially if they're a procurement manager wanting to get back to China. Is like several countries can now travel to China visa-free, so we sent out a few of these emails. So then moving on to LinkedIn outreach. So I call this lukewarm outreach. And if we compare this to email, email is a bit like a cold knocking on someone's door. Really, if someone knocks on your door, you really want to know, what do they want, essentially. So you need to be upfront and telling them, okay, we're KINYU, this is the service we provide, support on the ground, etc. However, with LinkedIn, it's almost as if you're meeting them at a networking event. They agree to connect with you. I mean, unless you do direct email, but we don't do that at the moment. We just we invite people to connect and then we talk to them. And so it's almost like meeting at a networking event. You wouldn't go straight into a pitch. You would just you would build this rapport in a sort of an authentic way. You would ask them about their supply chain. You would ask them, oh, that's great. You're working in IoT. I've actually got some clients in IoT. So, what are you excited for? What are your challenges? Oh, all of these different things. And so you're actually building up quite an authentic rapport, just as if you would do at a networking event. So it's important to bear this in mind when doing LinkedIn outreach. So I call it lukewarm because they are actually cold. You may never have met them before. However, they did accept your connection request. And so they would have seen your profile. And if you've got, a LinkedIn profile highlighting what you do, then they've seen what you do. So when you're talking to them, you've already got, that sort of small, element warmth there. So, but it's also, key to target the right people, similar to email in terms of industries, geography, and company size. And, on LinkedIn, this is, Sales Navigator, and even without Sales Navigator, you can do this search and build up a target list. So again, I'll go through a script that we've used in the past. And so as I just mentioned, building rapport in an authentic and genuine way. Sort of clarifying goals for their business. This is all. I mean, these are all ideas and sort of general sort of themes, and really it has to be quite interactive, especially if you're trying to build that rapport, you're trying to gain their trust, understand what their pain is, what their challenges are. They might not have any challenges right now, so the conversation, you might have to take a bit of a twist. It might be shorter than this if they say they have no pain, no challenges. Well, you're connected with them, so maybe in the future they'll have some it will have some challenges that you can come back to on it. So confirm, does this person actually have a pain that you can solve? So for example, for us, communication with suppliers is not great. Yeah, so you can say, we can understand that, a lot of the time you have to repeat yourself over and over, and you have to make sure that the factories understand what you need. And, there can be a lot of back and forth, a lot of different time zones and all of this. So these are very sort of unique things that for us, we try and resonate with our potential clients. And again, so if you're, listening to this, you got to be thinking, well, what is their pain and can you solve it? And we feel like we can solve this with the China desk. Ask them, what have they tried so far? Have they tried to improve their China cooperation? Do they use translation? Do they travel here a lot? Do they have someone on the ground already? These are all things that you can continuously asking them. So LinkedIn is a lot more to gain that sort of trust and get them on a call. We feel like there's a lot more work that needs to be done into sort of seeing if they want to have a call. Again, just like you would be doing at a networking event if you met this person in face-to-face. And so, see if they need some help. Just, throw a few suggestions out there and offer to set up a call. So, that's a key, and so getting them, and then getting their email address and then getting them as a lead engaged. First of all, they're engaged on your LinkedIn. And you'll have them, where you can engage them into your CRM as well. So these are overall, this is sort of some of the key ways that we've generated leads. So moving on to lead nurturing. For us, for KINYU, we mainly nurture our leads using newsletter and LinkedIn. Content, posting on LinkedIn, mainly to keep at the forefront of our customer minds. Now, nurturing clients or prospective clients has to cut. You have to really know your target audience and really know exactly what scenario they're in, what are they thinking. So, and also identify who your ideal companies are. So, we've just, some of the ideal companies really, they should have at least $5 million in revenue. They should be purchasing from China at least $1 million a year, ongoing sort of like consistent relationships, existing supplier relationships. As I said earlier, head count of 30 plus, experiencing hiring personnel. So, if you're listening to this, what is your ideal target company? And also the people. So you're generating these leads and, you're having a call with them. Now, who are they? Are they, for us, the key people, because it's B2B, but you're engaging with people here. The key positions of the company that we work with procurement managers, we work with supply chain managers, we work with, obviously CEOs and CEOs, if they get involved in China, particularly if it's a product-based company, and of course, head of product or equivalent head ofs, HR managers, of course. Some of our companies, smaller companies, don't really have a full HR team. They sort of outsource it, and so we're dealing with the procurement managers. However, larger companies will have HR managers in-house. So who are you targeting? Who are you actually nurturing with your content and with your emails? And scenario, the scenario, these are the like some particular scenarios I'll go through. Again, for our company, they're working with China, but they're not necessarily in China. And so I'll go through these scenarios in a minute. So, what situations are your customers in? And our client would spend between 10K to 200K a year with KINYU, based on their size and the type of service that they would take. So understand your clients. What are their spend? What are their problems? And so just going like a bit deeper into this, and I'll tell you why this is important in a minute, is segmenting those scenarios and those types of clients. So, I mentioned I listed there discovery, upgrades, sweet spot, rescuer, and downsize and diversify. So these are in a life cycle in terms of where our clients are working with China. Different companies are at different stages. And so what that means is it requires different messaging. So when you're nurturing your clients, you've got to see where they are at. There's no point in talking about, hiring someone part-time on the ground, because you're thousands of miles away when they've already got an office in China, which is like down here. Downsize and diversify are companies who have already got an entity on the ground, but they might look at diversifying into different markets or downsizing and using an employer of record like us. So, if we go through these, companies with no presence. So might be interested in our part-time service, which is streamlined. They might be interested in projects. They might be interested in legal services because maybe they need purchase contracts made. The key messaging is visibility on the ground, man on the ground, boots on the ground, saving time and money on travel, bridging the cultural gap, building a more robust supply chain. Upgrades, there are companies, they're already using sourcing companies or agents or outsourcing this somehow. So we're saying to these types of companies, they've got a man on the ground or they've got visibility on the ground. However, having your internal team on the ground is the best option. This is what we're saying to them. Longer term savings, restructure for the future. Make comparisons like between QC companies, for example. If you have an in-house quality team instead of an outsourced, then it's better. So this is all the messaging that goes into nurturing, depending on the type of prospect that you're dealing with. And if you're providing a B2B service, not everyone is going to be bang on the same. You're going to have different services. You're going to have different clients at different stages. So stretching them out into different areas is so important for, you know, resonating with them, and so they read your content and think, you know what, this is actually for me. So yeah, moving on, you know, they've got no presence, but they want a presence, you know. So these are like the very small percentage of people who really, they know what they want and they want to hire people on the ground. So yeah, they'll use our comprehensive service to hire full time. And yeah, and the rescuer and the downsize and diversify. So it goes on. You know, these are companies that have HR risk, so we can have a bit more of an HR spin on it as opposed to a supply chain resilience spin on it, which would be these types of clients. So yeah, tailoring your messaging to clients in different scenarios. So here, so I mean, we started our newsletter. We started it late last year, sort of in November last year. So the numbers you'll see compared to our email marketing and outreach, our numbers are not very big. You know, so for example, our last one we only delivered 415. So for us, we use this purely as nurturing. Everyone who receives this, I mean, we have some partners and some, you know, some engaged people who read them, but pretty much everyone who receives this are prospects for our business, or their existing clients, or their referral partners, or, you know, people who we want to be engaged with our service. We focus on quality, delivering good quality content to qualified leads and keeping them engaged. So, you know, our email newsletter, which we send out by email, it's called On the Ground, China Insights. So it's supply chain, it's China HR, it's Asia operations. So these are all, they're quite broad topics, but they can bring in with different angles and different segmentation, can encapsulate pretty much our sort of client group. So, you know, we have a personalized note at the top, which acts as a bit of a sort of too long, don't read the whole article, whole newsletter alternative, putting in links within the text and providing an overview on the newsletter. We have sort of like each month, we send it out monthly, and we have a sort of a key theme each month. So for example, the last one was actually on the GBA, the Greater Bay Area in South China. The one before that was on supply chain diversification, sort of addressing questions of, oh, do I, don't I, looking at alternative supply markets. And then and add into these themes would have a headline article along with some supporting articles, also written by ourselves, as well as third party sort of additional articles in a balanced way. So we're really trying to our audience, our target clients, mainly are thousands of miles away. So, you know, they'll have a supply chain in China, or they'll have an operation in China, but they're based in Europe, they're based in the UK, they're based in the US or Australia. So when they're reading this, we want to present the China desk and the newsletter and the company as a resource on the ground. And also making sure that you keep it balanced. I mean, we're working with China and supply chain. It's always in the news. It's less so than sort of like marketing in general as a service, but for us, we include articles from other sources. We like to walk the line, be balanced and act as an observer to what's going on. And also we do put our perspective on key elements. So for example, the trade tensions between US and China. What does that mean for a supply chain company on the ground? And just really have a more observational, objective view of the situation. Keeping opinion pieces focused on really narrow topics and specific challenges instead of sort of broad China policies. So, for example, the particular challenge of compensation days in China, where people have to work on the weekend because they have big block holidays. It's a very sort of like narrow topic, but it impacts supply chain. It impacts people's work and it and holidays in general. So it's relevant to our audience, but very narrow, very unique. So here I've just added like an example of our newsletter. So this is a supply chain diversification. So overall, we're sort of giving an overview, personalized note from myself, and I write this. I mean, this is another thing, is about who writes your content. I mean, I write about half of it, and then I have another British content writer who supports me on some of the articles, and we go through them together. So we have a very close working relationship on writing content. And I think that's really key in terms of delivering consistency and good quality articles. So yeah, so this is sort of like as if you were scrolling down about diversification, a free download on how, what we do and how we fit into that. Different recommended reads as well there. Also, an article on HR and how employing people in China outperforms consulting. So keeping a sort of an HR spin there as well. And also, updates on the company, which are sort of legitimate and portray a sense of that we've got a strong foundation in China, and as part of the British Chamber, so we're sort of KINYU is key in contributing to a supply chain roundtable. So this is something that our audience are interested in seeing and engaging with it, and it gives off the right impression to our audience. Yeah, and obviously an update, other updates, and a call to action. I'd probably actually need to put a call to action further up the list, but yeah, on we go. So yeah, newsletter for nurturing, quality over quantity. So some of the feedback that we get from the newsletter, like a representative who's from the publishing industry, saying like they're well written, it's meaningful, that we get the point across. The balance is right. The titles are enticing, they're catchy, but the content actually delivers to that. These are from industry friends and associates. And as I'll say later, our clients, they don't give us this feedback. They don't reply to us like this. They book meetings and they want to talk. And we've had over the last few months, people just coming back through the door because of our consistent, good quality email newsletter. So, some of them have, we first met in 2022, some of them in 2023. Obviously, we use HubSpot as a CRM. We can see whether or not they've read it. We can see whether or not they've clicked on it. And then, they want to get back in touch. And this has happened, and with some big companies who are wanting some big ticket services. So yeah, nurturing your leads and key takeaways. Again, this is our business. I'm not a marketing professional at trade. I'm a business owner, but I do my own marketing. So this is what for us, what I think is the key takeaway. Consider your sales cycle. I'll say sales cycle because not everyone wants to hire people straight away. So you've got to nurture these leads. It was particularly long in 2023 because of the situation in China and maybe globally as well. Companies not ready, they weren't ready to hire or to take action on hiring. However, with this consistent nurturing, people, it is a life cycle. If companies grow, they need support in China. So think about your sales cycle, thinking about your business. and where do you fit into their journey? And because you might be too early, you might be too late, but it's a cycle. It can come around. So the key is that you get them into that cycle and you consistently keep nurturing them. Tell them that you're there, that you're open for business, that you're keen to meet with them, and you're keen to provide a solution for them. Leads and prospects must be nurtured. Useful content, it's good quality, relevant, keep it balanced, keep it light, get the feedback. Customers will just vote with their wallets. They will book the meeting. They won't tell you, oh, what a great article or something like that. They will just a prospect will just want to crack on. Consider your audience. What scenario are they in? What challenges do they have? What do they want to hear? So I just picked up a couple of sort of figures as well. Like only 3% of leads are ready to buy. So when you get those leads, don't just focus on those 3% who are like right there. I mean, I've had it before. I've had it where we've engaged someone in the lead and they've been ready to buy. It's great, but that does not happen very often. But 20% of those leads, much higher figure, it could just not be the right time. So you just have to continue sort of nurturing them and continue to stay in touch. Personalized lead nurturing, it can be done on a larger scale with a newsletter if done right. It can increase the conversion rates as well. So key takeaways and what's next from us. We're evolving. We're not doing everything. At the moment we don't run ads. Maybe we will do in the future. We don't do any video content apart from today. Thanks, Jake. But I've done we don't have a consistent plan. We have done some video content, but we don't have it as a proper plan yet. So so far, what we've done with our email marketing, with our LinkedIn outreach, with our newsletters, and with consistently posting content as well to nurture clients on LinkedIn. It's worked for us so far in terms of it taking us to a certain stage, and it might not work for everyone. I'm just here to tell you what's worked for me. So have to take on take other sort of aspects as well. But it's really important, no matter what you're doing, that you really know your clients. You really know who you want to be speaking to. Where are they at? Where are they at in their China journey? Where are they based? What are their problems? How can you help them? And before you throw money at things in marketing, it takes time and it takes effort. So and I'm sure this is the case for video content and the same for ads, but it's also with other sort of personal outreach and content. Is you can't just throw money at these things. You have to put in a lot of time and effort. Unless you're a huge company who can have the best agencies and hire a chief marketing officer, then you're really going to have to take that marketing in and develop it yourself. And because an assistant won't, or a junior position who's supporting you do it will not, or an agency will not have the vision like you will have. So before you spend money, make sure that you've got the time and the plan. So moving on, what is next for us? Like the next thing that we're going to do is more audio and video content, maybe like a YouTube series on HR and supply chain issues, really sort of going into some granular detail so we can make some short videos with tips in terms of key sort of things like employee leave or employee termination or hiring a QC engineer or things you need to think about around Chinese New Year. Lots of short ones, but also longer ones where we interview key people, like maybe general managers of China sourcing offices and HR lawyers, where we can understand maybe some of the problems, some of the lessons learned from previous mistakes that other companies have made in HR. And then also sort of making this into an audio version as a podcast as well. So that's what we're doing next. We don't do it now. We haven't got a plan yet, but we're building a plan. And so that's really key. Before we invest more time, effort, and money on this, you have, make sure you have the plan. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. I don't know whether or not there are any questions,
There's a
Jake.
few questions, yeah.
Yeah. So happy to field some questions.
Okay, so before we go into the questions, I'd just like to say to everybody, please go and sign up for Ben's newsletter. I'm an avid reader myself, and I can say hand on heart, there's no better source of information for an unbiased view about how global issues are affecting supply chain across borders from China and the world. So a couple of questions. I'm sorry, Sean, just bear with me 1 second. I know that you've got 2 questions in the Q&A. Everybody else, please feel free to add them. But I just wanted to raise a couple of questions. You mentioned that it takes time, Ben. Like, what would you say is the usual time that you start to build this funnel? Did you get leads on day one? Did it take a couple of months for you to perfect your email marketing system? How long did it take for that funnel to build?
To be honest, it took about 6 months to really see some like in the first 6 months we got some bookings. And the other thing is like, we work with an email marketing agency to support us in this, so we don't do it all in-house. It can, certain scripts might work, certain scripts work, certain scripts don't work. There is a bit of trial and error. You've always got to come up with new ideas as well, like different, sort of different angles, different, for example, the Canton Fair angle. We didn't really do that at the first Canton Fair. We didn't actually do it at the Canton Fair that we had a booth and exhibited it at. So, that actually came up as an idea in the next exhibition, which we didn't actually have a presence at. So, these are ideas that they don't just come to you on day one. It comes from trialing it out, thinking, engaging with, if it's your own team members or if it's an agency, and really sort of working with them. So, the first 6 months, we got some good leads. We hit sort of like the target in terms of what we were looking for, but in the second 6 months, and now we're into the third 6 months of our email marketing campaign, we're seeing a lot more. It's a lot more automated. It's a lot more. I've got a lot less. A lot sort of less touch on the actual campaign, and we're seeing meetings being booked.
Okay,
I would
great.
say also it's like there are different in terms of tools, but specific campaigns is like you have different domains. You can't just use one domain. You have like multiple different domains, email domains that need like warming up. So this is more on the technical side, is in terms of how long does it take. Is like, you should be, the domains and the emails that you use to send out should be sort of like warmed up essentially.
Okay. That actually is a great segue onto our first audience question from Sean, which is, are there any specific email marketing tools you would recommend? And is there a difference when reaching out to China versus Western clients?
Yeah, so the first question there, specific email marketing tools. Like I said, we use an agency. I don't know the names of the tools they use. I know that you can the key parts of it. So for example, you need to find the lists. You need to then automate the emailing of this as well. So you can either buy the lists, you can scrape the lists, you can or manually research them as well. So there are various different tools that you can use to get those. You can actually search them on on Google, and I won't say whether or not they're good, but there are different sort of like tools to build the list. And then in terms of sending out the emails and automation, there are tools like Meet Alfred does both LinkedIn and email. That's a sort of a specific tool that we've used for LinkedIn. So and there are lots of different sort of automation tools of making sure that you're sending out at different cadences, etc. In terms of difference between when reaching out between Chinese and Western clients, so we primarily focus Western clients, so I couldn't really give too much of an answer to the Chinese aspect. But I would say that a lot of marketing in China, is done on WeChat and on different platforms. People read emails and they receive them, etc. But I don't really have that sort of experience in terms of what the response rate is with Chinese clients.
Okay, you don't run an official account on WeChat, do you?
Um, no, not yet. I mean, actually, going back to that sort of what's next. I mean, the video marketing is first, but we are going to do more marketing in China, but it's for different reasons. So for us in China, we want to build our sort of brand as being a really good employer. So to really to spread the word in terms of the KINYU China desk within the people who actually want to work for us. So we want to come across as a company that generates good jobs. All of our clients are, we've got clients who are, large companies. They purchase tens of millions every year, and they want to hire. They want they're stable jobs. So we want to actually build this brand in China. So they're not not really for our clients, but for partners. So we don't do that much on WeChat and China marketing yet, but watch this space.
Okay, you heard it here first. So the second question we've got from the audience is something that I'd also picked up on, which is about the irregular days, like between the emails. So the spacing of the days, what works best, and what works best in terms of getting positive versus no/negative replies.
So I think it's really important not to do them so close together. So if we go back to we'd have to, well, if we went back to before in terms of the different days that we did. So as an example, let me share my screen again. Oh no, yeah, I'm just going. Yeah, so long form followed by a short form and then a break. So it's really important not to overdo it, because then people will just say no. It's probably it might not be the right time. So they might be on holiday. They might be really busy. So leaving a good break. Their scenario may have changed. And then another short follow-up. So you see in this one here, we highlight a problem that some of the companies have had. So they come to us after something has happened and they're not able to resolve it, and then shortly we come up with a solution. We can save like 30 to 50% on operating costs. We also and then a sort of a much longer kind of break to just see whether or not we can get like a sting, like a tail, sort of sting the tail whip to bring people back. So this is the sort of cadence that we use. And another thing that we've started to do more of that should be both on email marketing and on LinkedIn is giving away more things for free. So for example, if I was a marketing person, I'd be saying, well, do you want to hear about what we've done to be successful in terms of building, getting more clients, or for us, for our clients, we're offering a free review of their China office to see where they can save money, or we've got a free salary calculator. So if you wanted to know what the market rate is for a QC manager or a logistics personnel, then we try and give free tools. Also, when at the Canton Fair, when we're doing a Canton Fair campaign, we are saying to them, we're here. Is there anything that, any product or any sector that you would want us to, go check out, and just, adding in more hooks. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Oh, we got another question just come in here. I'm currently holding a Chinese manufacturing company, and the company plans to expand overseas. May I ask, is Kinyu's business model include helping Chinese manufacturers go overseas, go abroad?
So at the moment, it doesn't. In terms of company plans to go to overseas market, it depends on what you mean by that. Is that sort of are they looking at, continuing manufacturing in China and then selling overseas? Is that cross-border, or are you looking to establish operations in a different country? I mean, for us, we are sort of looking at key, developing an employer of record network in key sort of supply markets like Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, look way into the future, maybe consider India and Mexico. But if it's purely to, if it's for B2B, our current business model doesn't help this yet. So I think, but our marketing model might. So, as I said, what your company is doing, what if you're manufacturing, who are your audience, who need your product? Is it an individual? Are you going B2C? Are you going B2B? If it's B2B, then generating those leads and nurturing them is, it is a marketing model so that you can take, even if our services don't really don't apply to Chinese manufacturing companies.
Okay. I think that I have one more question that comes from the LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a more personal approach. You've just mentioned that you were using some automation tools, but when it comes to the conversation on LinkedIn, if people reply, how long do you generally have the conversation go on for? Is it quite a personal conversation in the beginning? Does it go for 10 messages, 20 messages, or are they shorter? Like, or do you just do it by vibe, like pick up on a different person, different people have different kind of relationships with you, but generally, how long are the conversations through that LinkedIn outreach?
Yeah, it's mainly, like you said, it's done by vibe. So for example, I mean, you can see who you're talking to. Are they an engaged lead? Are they a qualified lead? I think you can see from, if you know your audience. So, I'm looking at their company, and like they manufacture. I've given that like an example, like they're manufacturing furniture. I can see that they've got, they're in different markets. Furniture is made in China. It's quite labor intensive. They made, lots of furniture companies have boots on the ground in China. And this guy's talking to me, or this girl is talking to me about various things. I mean, I think it's really important to keep on topic. And if you'll end up talking about something else, then maybe it's maybe it's, you need to find a way to sort of bring it back to the topic, and also just trying to bring them onto a call, and just understanding. I mean, for us, what we tend to say is, what's your China story? Like, what's going on? I'm just personally, I'm always keen to understand where people are at with their China business, what challenges they have. We're based here. We've seen it before. So even if we don't actually, even if they're not ready to hire someone on the ground, or they're not ready to, pay for like having someone consistently working for them 5 or 10 hours a week, we can I can at least sort of like connect them with someone else, or they're definitely marketing qualified. They might not be sales qualified, but they might be in the future. So it does depend on, I mean, if you've got many leads coming in via LinkedIn and you're having these conversations, you have to prioritize the ones that that are closer to booking, and really trying to like bring them around to it. But then also, what's important is through the conversation you are qualifying. So the more discussions you have with them, the more you will be qualifying them. And so when you're answering their questions, you'll realize, oh, they actually don't have a supply chain set up and they're looking for someone to, like, just source a factory to make some samples. Well, that's not really something that we're focused on. So through that conversation, we have been able to qualify or, disqualify a customer. So yeah, if some companies want to jump straight onto the call, then actually that can be worse because you need to qualify them in some way. Otherwise, you book a call, you allocate your time, and then it turns out they're not really the right company for you. So I
Do
hope that,
you,
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that leads me swiftly on to just a follow-up question there. Do you have like a shakedown process? Is there a way that you might determine whether that company works for you or, I've heard of other friends of mine that are business owners that they only take a certain percentage of leads that even if they're qualified, they have the liberty to pick who they want to work with. Is there a process that you have in place that might define what makes a good client to work with, and that you focus on relationship to save your energy in potentially putting energy into the wrong client relationship?
Um, I think some companies, I mean, there are some companies who maybe like a lot of people, they come to us is like maybe they've been through it all before. So maybe they've tried something and then they've had a challenge. So like for example, we've got one client who they had a consultant, they had their own like boots on the ground consultant that they had in a loose arrangement, and then that consultant ended up going a bit rogue during COVID and started like you know misquoting invoices and taking cuts from factories and all this kind of stuff, which then led them to having something a bit more structured under our China desk. So that's a bit of a shakedown. If someone is like not if they don't know what they if they don't know what the problems are and they've just they're fine, then sometimes it can be quite challenging. I mean, do they have a pain point that you can address? There's only so much you can, address things by saying positive things to people who don't feel any pain. So I think that's really important. Like, is there this good match? I mean, we have had recently a great client that the sales cycle was really, really quick. But luckily, they were a more mature company. They were quadrupling their procurement over the next 2 years, and they don't have anyone on the ground, so they want to manage their risk. Before they were doing it remotely, like 1.5 million procurement from China, and that's going to go up to like 8 million in the next like year or two. So they want to have boots on the ground, and they know that because they're a mature company. They hire hundreds of people in the UK. So mature companies know that, and also, and this is what we want to focus on. And that does lead me on to another point. It's like when you're targeting companies, I mean, yeah, it's great if people want to book in and have meetings and they're interested in all that, but are they actually your target client? Do they know what they want? And sometimes, especially if it's B2B, just focus on the bigger ones. If it's smaller quantity, but then better quality, they know what they want, and then just make sure that you get in there as a good solution to whatever problems they have.
Okay, lovely. I think we're going over the hour, but just one question, Ben, and I think I know the answer. One final question from the audience, and the answer I don't want to preempt, but perhaps you might consider putting it behind a wall to collect a lead. But it is, are you going to share this presentation with the audience at any point? I'm happy to put it in an email to everybody, but maybe you want to put that behind a email capture wall. It's up to you. But are you going to share the resource?
Yeah, I'm happy to share it, really. I mean, it's already on there on YouTube, right? So yeah, so I'm happy to share it. I might yeah, I'll consider how best to share it, like you said.
Okay. Well, Ben, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you here teaching us how to generate nurture and sell to people through a B2B pipeline. I'd like to say thank you for myself, our sponsors, Sage Site, and everybody that's participated in this webinar. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.